Welcome everyone back to another episode of Q&A with Sharon's son George. I was my mother's caregiver after she was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. Unfortunately, she passed on 1/1/2020. We started TogetherForSharon.com in her memory. Today, our guests are somebody who, again, I always say it, but I just really mean it. I feel like I've known her my whole life, and she
Oh,
she impacts me more than she'll ever know. When I saw her, I fell in love with her, and now we get the honor to talk with her husband too. So I want to welcome Barbara and John, and really just such a pleasure. I say it a lot, but it comes from my heart for you two, because I see your journey. But the thing is, the individuals like you fight back, and I am just so inspired. So welcome again.
thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, good to be here.
Yes.
Well, let's get right into it, because all the sports fans out there are waiting to hear from you. So, I'm just kidding. I always want to say that, and whenever you're on show, you can do it. But maybe we could go right into the world of awareness, and maybe, unfortunately, back to the beginning. So if you could tell us about your first diagnosis, and then a little bit about yourselves.
Yeah, I do want to apologize if I'm squirming around a little bit. I'm in a lot of pain today, so
Sorry to hear that.
that's why. No, I just figured I would just say that right from the beginning because I am
Well,
squirming around a lot.
I'm right with you. I can't tilt the screen, but I have my back brace from surgery still on, so we're
You
in together.
understand.
And nothing will stop us for Parkinson's awareness, and hope
You
for.
understand. And my first symptoms happened when I was about 40 years old. I wasn't diagnosed till 44, but I started having tremors, but not in my hands like I always do here. It was in my feet and my legs and my right leg. And my daughter kept on saying, "Sure, you don't have Parkinson's," because we had another family member with it. And I said, "No, I don't. I doubt I have that." So next time I went to the doctor for my checkup, I brought it up. I said, "I'm a little concerned because there are some things happening, but I'm having tremors." And a tremor's just in my leg, my right leg. And listen to me, I said, I don't know any other symptoms. Oh, we had one other. I lost my sense of smell. And how we found that out was John came home one day and he goes, "Don't you smell that in the house?" I go, "What?" We had a bad gas leak and I didn't smell the smell that you have that from that. And so John got very concerned about that. So I said, "I lost my sense of smell." And I've always had a very acute sense of smell. And the doctor said to me, "You don't have Parkinson's. You are much too young, plus you're a woman. And women don't get Parkinson's. They get MS." I'm like, "What?" I had never heard anything so goofy in my life. I went back the next year again, saw the same doctor and brought it up again. I said, "But this time I'm falling." I mean, actually, I just fell a couple times. I had a client actually think I was drinking on the job, and that had me very concerned. And he said, "No," he says, "you do not have Parkinson's, you're fine." And I'm like, "Well, I don't want to have Parkinson's, but I'm a little concerned here." Well, the next year I went back, same thing. The fourth year I went back, it was when I was 44. I saw a new doctor and I mentioned to her, I said, "My handwriting's even changed. My handwriting is getting smaller and smaller." We had beautiful script writing, couldn't read it. It was totally illegible. And I found that out from doing our holiday cards. And she said to me, "I have to send you to a neurologist." She didn't tell me she was sending me to a movement disorder neurologist. And I went there, and within the first visit, I was diagnosed. Um, it was shattering for me because of the family member who had it. And I knew what possibly my future could be. And that was very scary for me. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. But my first symptoms were the tremors. And the second symptoms were, I think I lost my sense of smell first. Sleeping. I was not sleeping well. My handwriting changed. I'm trying to think of what else. I was falling.
Eventually, the dystonia, that was the.
Oh, the dystonia. Well, that was after I was diagnosed, but the dystonia was really bad. My toes would just be like this, like a claw. And my toes are all deformed now because of it. But it started getting more and more painful and more difficult for me.
Sorry you have to go through that, but it sounds a lot similar to what my mother went through with the dystonia. but I want you to know that people like me are out there right by your side fighting until we find a cure, and that you do truly inspire me. And one thing I want to bring out is your beautiful, fine gentleman next to you, who we
Ah,
usually don't have the time to bring in the caregiver. So at the end, I usually have a question I love to ask, but now we have one right with us. So maybe you can also introduce yourself and kind of share your journey, as a caregiver, because I know a little bit. Obviously, every journey is different, but at least I know I can put myself a little bit in your shoes.
I'm not a union caregiver. I didn't have any formal training. I'm an
Me
engineer
too.
by trade. Retired now for about 9 years, but I was a civil engineer and Barb was starting to show signs where she needed help here too. So it worked out good because I was retiring and to be around. And early on, it wasn't like I had to be here all the time, but there were things that she needed help with. And over the years, that kind of progresses into like not being gone for too long, helping with little things. And biggest thing is like Barbie say, I always say, well, ask me if you need help. And she didn't want to always ask because it just feels like she had something taken away from when she did that.
and
So now I try to be a little more aware to see, do you need help? And kind of be there. So my caregiving is only what I've learned at home. Cooking, I never was a cook.
he is
Mark says
now.
I'm a great cook. I said, I'm not a good cook. I just follow
Yes.
directions well. Because I'll do recipes, but doing the
And what else
shopping
do you
and
do for
cooking
me?
and clean up and I've learned to do hair.
He did
Might
every,
have to come to my house. I need some.
but it's really a help because
Yeah.
I'm having a hard time
Yeah.
raising my arm now, and particularly the right arm because I have bone on bone on my shoulder there now. And he is so helpful. He bathes me, he helps me dress, as I am so rigid in the morning. There's no way I can put on my slacks or whatever. And he is the one who helps me.
There's just so much to bring up. I hope we have the time, but it's fascinating to see again, a husband and wife team. You're a team in this, and we're out there too
Yeah.
for you. And I just think it's incredible. And thanks. And I remember I might have training as a police officer, a lawyer, but it's so much similar to being a caregiver. You don't take a course you might take for the other area, but you kind of just get thrown in there and you try your best. And I think you're doing a good job. And obviously, Barbara will tell me if
Not
you're
this
not.
way. If I'm not, I'm told that I'm not.
But
He's
no,
doing a fantastic job. I could not do, I even my business, I was still working till 2 years ago.
right.
And I could barely, and he was there helping me every step of the way. We've been a team and he's been wonderful
Yeah,
because
well,
that's what it's like when you're a caregiver.
Mm.
You're a support team. Otherwise, it doesn't work. It's very hard.
Yeah, my mother didn't have unfortunately a husband at the time, so I had to step up and I accepted the challenge, but I don't think she would have made it alone. So it's nice again to see that you both have each other. So I commend you for
And
all
I
of that.
have my children. My
Yeah.
children are,
Yeah.
especially my daughter, they are extremely helpful. My daughter worked with Parkinson patients and
Uh,
she's a speech and language pathologist who specializes in swallowing. And so she's certified in Parkinson's but now she works in an ICU, but she's also here every week helping me out. And they're both wonderful. I couldn't do it without them. And my one son is particularly helpful too.
Yeah, it's amazing to have the support that's needed because, as you know, it takes a whole community, like a village, to fight this, and we have your back too. So don't forget that.
Yes.
Moving on, we have so many topics. I do want to leave the world of your career soon. We'll get to because I was fascinating. I did a lot of research. You're famous. Don't forget me when you're big.
I'm not famous.
But tenacity is some of the things I enjoy when I want to get into social media soon, but because that's how we met. So there are good things like meeting and also the dark side of social media. But what is some of the things that you feel you've been taught because of Parkinson's, and maybe some of the things you've accomplished that you never dreamt you would?
Okay. Exactly what you were saying. I learned I can do things that I never thought possible without Parkinson's, and I did them. one of my thing I'm the most proud of is, well, is, raising 3 kids, and that's a tough job, and holding another job, and my
We have
husband,
three, we
your
have three
wife,
also. Yeah, we have three.
job
Right
of a
on.
photographer. And I've been for over 20 years. I've been a professional photographer, and I specialize in animals because I love animals. And animals are very intuitive. Every time I get photographed by horses, they
Mhm.
put their head where my Parkinson's is and they sniff my head.
Mm.
Sometimes I'll have like 10 horses around my head, can't waiting to sniff it.
Mhm.
It's so amazing what animals can do. But I started photographing animals and I forgot where I was getting now.
Actually, as you discuss this, I'm gonna share those photos so you can tell us a little.
Oh,
There you go.
but, oh my goodness, yes. That's with our dog. That is Griswold, who's a
Wow.
character.
He's laying in the back now, huh?
That
Mhm.
is my Griswold, and yeah, he's laying in the back over there. But I love, animals just speak to me. And I started photographing them, and that is with my 2 favorite dogs I've ever had. And that is me before my Parkinson's really took hold of me. That is what, about 9 years ago. I was still doing really good. I was laying on the floor, climbing around, photographing animals. I had my tough days, but I was doing pretty well.
And
Oh,
I wanted you to touch on also, we didn't get to it yet, but DBS, maybe you can explain what it is.
sure. This is deep brain stimulation. My family was there with me, and my daughter sat there with me when I had the halo put in my skull because we were wide awake. My son was disappointed too because he's a paramedic firefighter, and he's like, I wanted to be there for them. But Ellen was there for me and held my hand when they did
That's
that.
the first step to the brain
Yes.
surgery is to install that halo, which they actually screw into the skull a little bit to
In
hold
4
everything
places.
stable when they're doing the actual.
Well, really, it's a marker for your head for where they're going to put it. But yes, so that's my family, my oldest son, my middle son, my daughter. She's the youngest, and John.
For someone who had 3 major spine surgeries, and I actually have surgery on my thigh, they found a tumor this week. So for someone who's in the hospital a lot, I admire you, and you're my hero, because it's not easy to get any of these, especially for the DBS. So
I wanted to take movies of it because, being a photographer, and they told me no. This, if you press it, will show it will still show the MRI or not, the CAT scan they were doing. If you press it, it should move. It's not moving.
oh yeah, that's
There we
pretty.
go. This is how deep they go. And this is the actual my brain during surgery. They have everybody leave and they do x-rays and they do CAT scans. And this is what's showing what's going on in my brain when they turned them on for the first time. My doctor gave me this because he wouldn't let me take photographs. He said this should be the next best thing. Wasn't.
How the times have changed now. I think people have phones while they're doing this. Like in 2024, they
I
take.
know. It is. And I had a smile on my face my entire time because I decided that this was game changer day. This day can change everything for me. And it did. It really did. I would be much worse off now if I had not had the deep brain stimulation surgery. But it's not for everyone.
Right.
And not everyone can have it.
That was 6 years
But
ago this month.
yeah, 6 years ago. And it was just an amazing experience. I remember saying to Dr. Verhagen, oh, is that my blood over there? And pointed to this thing. And he's like, they had to move it right away. And he told me, stop smiling. No one smiles through it. And I did. I was never fearful at all. I'm very surprised I wasn't because I'm the world's biggest chicken when it comes to medical stuff.
That was
But
one
the
area I
person-
wanted I was wondering with my mother, she didn't want to even entertain the topic of DBS, but I do wonder if it would have helped her. But how has
it-
progressed so quickly the last 4 years, or we still are kind of lost as to what the heck happened?
Right. Well, I was able to keep my hair, which I was very happy. I had to cut it real short before, but he said I could keep it. And he uses goop in there and stuff. But that's me 4 days after I was all swollen still. But
Oh.
you'll see me, I think the next one that's 8 days after. You see my incisions healed really nicely. I got to wash my hair at 8 days after, or yeah, 8 days after the surgery. I felt really good. And that is with my family, my husband and my daughter and my 2 rocks.
Mhm.
Oh, that's one of mine. That was done in Ding Darling
That's
town
beautiful.
in Sanibel Island. And I love photographing birds, and it was scratching its neck while it was walking.
Beautiful.
Pelican. And
Your
that's my dog.
husband?
That's
Yeah.
the
And
one in the middle.
he's there reading to the dogs.
That's cute.
Like I said, I love dogs, and my Christmas cards have my grandchildren and my dogs on one side.
Looks like the book's coming to life, so it's beautiful.
Well, that's what I was hoping for. And that's one that I won second place in the Grand Imaging Awards at Imaging USA. And it's called I've Got My Eye on You. And she's the mama of these two puppies here.
I used to have a beagle. I know that's the same family.
Oh,
so-
yeah. Bassets are different. This was taken in Connemara, Ireland. It's my first time photographing horses. I had never photographed one.
Amazing.
And this one won first place, no, second place, pardon me, second place that year. And I was really surprised it did, but the mother and the colt were hugging. And I got 4 images like this, and I love each one. The love that is between these two animals.
Amazing how it looks so realistic, but it's a photo and how you capture it. I would give you an award. Of course, I went on horsebacks once and I'll never do it again because I couldn't feel my rear end for weeks.
Oh, it's not easy.
That was it for me.
It's not, and this is again Bassets, and I photograph a lot of Bassets just because I love their personalities. I personally, sorry if anybody has one, would never own one because they're very headstrong. But this is puppies here, and I just got such a kick out of them and just fell in love with this image.
Mhm.
And these are two that are really, I photograph a lot of Bernese Mountain Dogs. This is not my dog. We had Bernese Mountain Dogs originally. And a lot of people think they are, but that's a client's dog. And then the other one is Rocky, and Rocky was 85 pounds and 5 feet long, and he could run like you would never believe. And everything on him moved with such fluidity. And I wanted to capture that, and I think I did really well.
Oh, yeah. I also want to share one more area, and that's a video I actually discovered of you talking. So maybe you can take a minute if I could locate that.
I didn't even know you found, I thought of sending it and then I decided not to.
This is one, I did a little research, so you're famous, and here's one of your artwork pieces. I don't know if I'll mess that up, but there's one of them, and you can
That
see,
is Send in the Clowns, and that is my dogs right there.
beautiful.
They bring, the story
Amazing.
behind this is they bring love, laughter, and humor into my life every day and help me cope with my Parkinson's.
And this
Oh,
is the
isn't the one
video.
I was thinking- This isn't the one I was thinking.
Is this okay to play?
Yeah, that one's okay. The other one's much better, much better.
I think they're all great. Let me just make sure I got this. So
I
if you
never knew Blu-ray put this up. Okay.
can't hear it, just let me know.
He's another Florida photographer.
Here we go.
That first time I picked up a camera in my hands, I was so intrigued with photography, and what that camera became for me was my tool, a way to channel my creativity and use my imagination. That first time I photographed dogs, there was just this instant connection. I knew this is what I wanted to do. Working with dogs definitely has its challenges. It's taught me what the word patience is, and also how to slow down, observe, and to connect with my subjects. Life can be so full of the unexpected. In my 40s, I was diagnosed with early onset Parkinson's disease. That day of my diagnosis definitely shifted my whole life into a new direction. I did learn at that moment to live in the now, but I also decided to take that bitter, sour lemon, what I call Parkinson's, and live my life with joy, happiness, and love, and create the sweetest tasting lemonade ever. I call my creativity my surfboard, because with Parkinson's disease, many times the symptoms and the challenges of having that can make you feel as if you're drowning. So every day when I'm photographing and creating, I'm riding those waves on my surfboard. When I have an idea or concept, what I want to do is start shaping it and bringing it to life. Those ideas can come from something as simple as watching my grandson playing with a toy drum. What I've been doing is pulling from my life experiences and creating images hopefully that are intriguing and have humor and draw the viewer right in.
It was so amazing. I didn't want it to end.
Oh, well, the other one is even better, but it was a couple years before that. I
Oh.
used to use these. I used to speak all over the country, motivating people who feel they have obstacles standing in front of them. And I try to go right up there and say, I have one of the biggest obstacles. I have Parkinson's and I tremor really badly. And I actually found a little trick that worked for me. If anybody ever wants to know, Parkinson's is a resting tremor. So when we have our hands, we're trying to rest, this one arm is not tremoring right now. This is, but I can't lift it up very much. But what it is when I'm still, it shakes, but when we move it, it doesn't. So what I would do with my camera, I would move it all around and click and done. And I was able to get those images. And I found it out by accident the day John handed me a bottle of water. And I realized when I took that water, it wasn't shaking because my hand had just finished moving. And I discovered something that really helped me continue working for a while. But
Well, I appreciate that. And it's always good to have, even through the darkness, I always see that there is hope and there is positive things. Like I would never have met such incredible people like both of you, and I'm grateful for that every day. I did have one last question before I want to go into the world of social media, because I could talk to you specifically for 20 hours. I love your stuff. And even how you film that is kind of different, which I want to talk about too. That's why I'm so excited about, finally getting to talk. But what are some of your struggles today before we kind of leave the world of Parkinson's for a minute and go into Parkinson's awareness? But what are some of the struggles you have today or the last few years?
pain, number one. I suffer from a lot of pain. I hope I don't cry. I do have to take a codeine drug, or no,
Hydrocodone.
hydrocodone drug every day because of the pain that I suffer. I have Parkinson's induced scoliosis, so I want to lean like this whenever I talk or try to stand. And that's been very difficult. That's caused problems with my shoulder and then caused problems with, on the other side, spinal stenosis. So the pain I live in is really bad. Okay, that's a nice way of putting it.
Yeah.
I would say the other this has been the most recent. I can no longer walk. I'm sorry.
All right, that's why we're
That
here
has
for.
been the most difficult, most devastating thing that's ever happened. 9 months ago was the last time I was able to take a step.
Mm.
And I'm in a wheelchair now. Something I had hoped not happen, but it did.
If I
I
could send a virtual hug, I would right now. I can't give you a real
I feel it.
I can't even give you a real hug because my back is still a mess. Virtual. But sorry to hear that. I mean, obviously we kind of laugh, but we want to get rid of the pain through the being positive, but that's not always easy. I didn't even want in a way you to read my book because you'll see a lot of the same things. My mother had fiber. I don't know if you have this. I don't even know a lot about it, which we need more awareness, but she had very bad fibromyalgia and she would be crying in pain due to that. So it was on top of Parkinson's, she had that. And then dementia, we think towards the end with the hallucinations and delusions. So I understand, again, I can't put myself into you or John's shoes, but at least, we went through, somewhat of the same journey. My mother, again, not to get onto her, because this is the barber show, just so you know. But my mother, in the last 4 years, she had it for 15 years. Before those last 4 years, she walked a few miles a week, and she went from that to 2 years with the cane, then 1 year with the walker, then the wheelchair, and then we won't talk about after, but you know, so I do unfortunately sympathize, but understand, but we send our love. The reason I do this, as you know, hopefully by now, we don't ask for money. We don't accept a penny. If someone sends a penny, you know, I'll mail it right back, which will cost me 29 cents. Or I don't even know how much stamps are anymore. They're probably like $1. But anyway, you know, that's
So
why we do it. But I do want to bring up one thing to make you smile is your social media. Because the first time I saw you, I saw like your head is mainly in the screen.
Oh, gosh.
I like that because
Big fat Irish head.
it's like this, but it kind of captured my attention. I'm going to tell you the truth. Like it kind of, I see a lot of people. I'm on all the 7, you know, the big social media. I don't even know why I'm on them all, but because I want to cure, that's why. But so when I see your posts, it's not even just your face, it's just the realness and the authenticity is the word. It's almost like when you talk about your photos, how they capture your attention, your heart. When you post, you capture my heart. I was sad when I saw you had to take a little break, and I was like, no, I gotta see Barbara. So that's why I kind of didn't let you get away from me. We've known each other, I think, a year, and I know for a while we didn't get to know each other so hard. But then you did give me the opportunity, so I want to thank you because our friendship and your family means the world to us. I have a message at the end for you and your family, but maybe you could touch on, you know, going through this whole journey. How did you even discover TikTok or the world of online, and what made you kind of be a spear? I think you're a leader online because you introduced me to other individuals. You also helped me learn about a friend of ours who I was shocked when she was kind of banned from TikTok because of
Oh,
yeah, that night. I think I don't want you to feel bad, but that night changed my life and spurred me to write a book, which is coming out next year. And it's on policing and Parkinson's, but I actually wrote 2. One is going to be, I can't talk a lot, it's a secret, confidential, but one's actually going to bring her story into it, won't have her name, but people need to know that there is a dark side of social media, and that's the misconceptions of Parkinson's, which is not only elderly, it's actually women, which is a huge issue. It's African American individuals, Spanish, and Parkinson's does not discriminate. And to get me off my little soapbox, I've interviewed 700 people around the world, from England to Spain, Italy, all for free. It's all on TogetherForSharon for free. But I did that so people know that this is number one, no one's alone. And number 2, Parkinson's doesn't discriminate. I was shocked to find out people in Iceland and Nova Scotia have Parkinson's. It's like you
oh,
wouldn't
yeah.
even, I didn't even know that. So anyway, enough about me. I want to hear more from you and John about, first, you tell me about how you entered the world of social media, and then I'd love to hear about John's reaction when if he sees some of these stuff.
Oh, the hair drying ones he loves when I put those out there. Please don't do
I'm not
that.
on social media.
That's the
He
smart
doesn't
one.
like social media.
And then also you've told me I might have shadow banned you. I don't even know what that means.
No, don't worry about it.
I thought we were entering a
It's
Star
happened to
Wars.
me several times. It's happened to everybody. You know,
I thought you
it's
were talking about a Star Wars movie, like the shadow.
that is so funny. Now, what we were going to talk about again?
How you found the world of
How I got started. It was just a total fluke, and I was tired of Facebook. And Facebook. I had 5,000 followers for a while there, and I had to cut people off because I won some huge awards with my photography, and so that is all these people, you know, came onto my Facebook, and I dropped almost everybody. I just decided I want to low key. I went on to I went on to TikTok just for fun.
Mhm.
And first did some little stuff with my dogs that did terrible. And then the one day I showed, I turned off my generator,
Oh.
and that went viral within a couple of hours. I was stunned just because all I did was turn it off, and I'm shaking and I'm looking at John like, please turn it on, please turn it on. He turns it on, and then gradually my shaking stops. And people were just like, you're making that up. I wish I was. That's what my life would be like if I didn't have my DBS or my medication. But that's really how I started. And I took most of my stuff off. I kind of feel there's so much touched on. There's so many people, there are different times of their journey. I'm one of the few who's had 24 years now. And I'm going to be 69 in August, and 24 years I've had this.
Mm.
So it's really, it's been an eye opener. But that's really, I can't say much about my social media, but I did want to advocate to people. I did want to pass, tell people about Parkinson's, what it's like with certain things, like when you lose your sense of smell or other things. But I don't try to touch on the topic someone else has touched on. But I did a whole skin thing because we started having dermatitis and other things. And there's so many little things that we can find to share about, about Parkinson's. But other than that, I wish I had a huge impact, but I don't feel I do.
No, I think you do. And just reaching to me, I started the website TogetherForSharon.com. We don't accept anything, but people are never alone in this fight. I thought we'd have like 4 people who remember my mother, and I would have been fine with that. We've had over 37,000 people visit, so you're going to be on that site. And I'm going to make sure that you're never forgotten and that your voice still means the world to all of us. And I think we need Barbara back on TikTok posting because I look forward to it. So you're wrong in a way. I'm always going to say good things, but this is the one bad thing. You're wrong. That I think that you do mean a lot and your voice carries and does touch so many lives that we still need you out there, fighting. And I'll always be by your side, even if I'm not virtual. So
I have felt that support from you, really. The
you
Parkinson,
were a tough cookie because I wasn't going to let you get it. Sometimes I'm aggressive, but
I kept on saying, you don't want me, you don't want
I
me.
was born in Brooklyn, New York, and now I'm in Florida. But like we're grown. My mother, if you met her, you'd laugh. She'd say, "George, don't waste your time with all this. Go spend it with your family." But she didn't raise me like that. She raised me that if you see individuals who are struggling and need a voice, that you should fight on their behalf. Before my world of Parkinson's, as John was thrown into the world as caregiver, I advocated as an officer, a police officer, a lawyer, and a professor of criminal justice. But my whole career was aiding individuals who lost their loved one due to murder, specifically crime. So I've kind of been an advocate my whole life. But now my dream is to end Parkinson's, but to never see anyone struggle like my mother or our family has. So until we have a cure, you won't see me kind of go away yet. But I'm not as aggressive anymore because I put out things and I got so many people respond, I can't handle it. And it's just me. So at this point, it's beautiful. It kind of just pick and choose now. And I felt that your message and journey meant the world to me. So I want to thank you both too again, but we're not done yet. So now I wanted to hear what John, he said he's not on social. That might be a better thing now.
He is him and his daughter both don't like social media.
We have a little time left and so much more, but maybe you could list 3 words that describe who you are. This is where the Oprah stuff comes in. And John's allowed to join in and help, or he can talk about himself, whatever.
Oh, that's
You want
okay.
me to say or John to say?
No, you said what
It is your show, so you decide.
you-
Creative, number one. Um, caring. Trying to think what else. I'm loved. I feel very loved.
No,
I feel
definitely.
very blessed. My
We're
life,
sending you the love right now too, so that's additional love for you. How about this is a big one, and you might have mentioned it. One of my favorite questions. What is one moment or your most memorable moment that stands out through most of your work with Parkinson's awareness that you could share? Is there one?
is
You
it with
can,
one word?
no, one like it could even be a post, but one time the most memorable to you, not to me, but to you.
Well, it's memorable because I did it for 3 years. I used to have people come and do mentorships with me. It was $1,900 for 2 days. Every person who came, 100% of that was donated to the Michael J. Fox Foundation. One year I had 27 students.
Mhm.
And all that money was donated to the Fox Foundation because I feel at that time in particular, Parkinson organization's another one. There's several of them, but that was the one that I felt a connection with because they came to my home twice,
Mm.
see how I was. This is years ago, just to see how I was and ask if I had any questions. They actually came and did a visit with us. And it just amazed me that they took the time to do that. But I wanted to do something for Parkinson fundraising, and it was my one way I could. So when they would come for their mentorship, I would have them pay right then and there in front of me so they could see 100% of it went to the charity I said, and that they got a tax write-off too, which was really nice. But it was a wonderful opportunity to do something for someone and not be too difficult on me.
Yeah. What state, if you don't mind, what state are you located
I'm
in?
in Chicago, the suburbs of Chicago, Long Grove, Illinois.
Yeah, I'm in South Florida, so it's hard because sometimes like I'm had the honor to meet Mr. Fox and I've been to their events. We flew into New York, but we don't have a presence. We had a one event. I was so happy. They have one every few years, the IQ event here, but they don't have, you know, the big presence here. But I hope someday they join us here in South
I
Florida.
hope so too. They're wonderful. And that's why I was so touched by them, is that twice they came to my house.
Oh, that's amazing.
And that person contacted me until she quit working there a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And just regularly, how you doing? And that, where do you get that? I mean, it really meant a lot.
Here's the next one. Is there something you would have done differently looking back in the past 10 years in
Yes.
terms of parking?
I would have been more open with people. I've had it for 24 years. My first 10 years, no one knew but my family. Not even my brother knew, my sister-in-law. And because I felt I had to keep the secret. Well, part of it was because of what I did. I didn't want people to think I couldn't do my job and do it well. But then also, I just felt such, not shame, but I didn't feel like connected with anybody because the people I met in these support groups were old men. I hate to say that. And there wasn't many women in there at that time. And there wasn't, how can I say, there wasn't one person my age that was 44 years old. And so that was hard. That was really hard. I wish there was something that I had found that would have been the right fit for me to connect with others and then start advocating then about Parkinson's, or first really start learning about Parkinson's. So there's so much to learn. I'm still learning every day.
Thank you. And how do you think we could improve Parkinson's awareness? One thing I'm a big believer, and not everyone agrees, but really like teaming up like today, what we're doing. And because let's say you have individuals that follow you and I have, and we bring everyone together, I think that changes the world. And I've been doing, like, I did about 50 shows, not my own, but other podcasts where they have nothing to do with Parkinson's. But I try to go on to teach people who don't know what Parkinson's is, don't have it, and aren't caregivers so that they now learn about it. I don't know if it's working, but I spend like tireless hours on that stuff, and I don't even see my own family, which they get mad at me some days because this is important. So maybe you could touch on
I read your book.
that. No, that was out of nowhere.
Tell you.
I appreciate it.
Outstanding. And I was reading some to John. He hasn't had a chance to start it. It takes me time to read. I fall asleep sometimes. It's boring because I have Parkinson's. No,
We have the audio. We have an audio version too.
hey, I'm gonna listen, but no, it's really outstanding book. And you're gonna make a difference, especially talking about the caregiving, because that is an integral part that nobody thinks of until they start facing it. And it's hard when you do.
Yeah.
It's
One
very hard.
One area I really want to see, which I don't yet, is I want more movies and things on, like the Lifetime channel, the home. I don't see anything with Parkinson's. I wish they would take your journey and mine and put it up there, but I don't know who to reach out to or speak to. So maybe someone out there, I always say, is watching this right now, and you never know if we get a phone call. So, but
Oh,
this
they
leads
not
into
that crazy lady.
no, not to me, the best lady. This is the next one that kind of goes in with that last topic. If you were asked to write a script to a movie about your life story, what would you call it?
Oh
Everyone loves that one. John can join it.
boy, that I have to think on that one. I'm like the
You
type
can
of
come back to
titles like
it. You can get back to me or write
oh yeah, I have to because
no problem.
it's like coming up with a print competition title.
How
It's
can
not that hard.
we kind of sign out and go to the last question? Is there, first of all, how does anyone, if they want to reach out to you, how can they support you? I don't know if you have a site or if you could tell us your TikTok name.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I don't have a site anymore. I used to have a website and I used to sell my work too.
Right, I saw that.
I used to sell that and all the profits went to the Fox Foundation. But that got to be too much sometimes. I'm trying to think of what,
how to get in touch with you.
How to get in touch? Well, what's the best way to, you can get in touch with me on, what is it? Instagram is a good place because you can't always write people
Yeah.
when you're on TikTok unless they're your friend. So the way it's set up on mine, so you can go on Instagram and I'm under Barbara Breitsameter, just like my name is spelled. Are you going to have that anywhere, Breitsameter, so people can see it?
That's perfect. And everybody, please support Barbara and John. Feel
No.
free to you can still purchase her photos and support them.
Oh, no, 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 no more.
I'm gonna figure a way to get you all your medications paid. That's my only job. That's the one area I wish. I mean, now with the national plan to end Parkinson's finally on the president's door, hopefully that'll help change the world because they didn't have that when my mother, went through this. So the problem is once it's passed, I worked in politics. Just passing it isn't enough. You have to implement it. So very curious. We're in an actually interesting time and really part of history. So we'll see how the government can assist individuals who are battling this and the caregivers.
I would love to see who voted for this because I'm really,
I think it was an unanimous. It was the House was the problem. There were about 8 people I won't mention that didn't vote for it, and I baffled. Like I don't have any hair, but I would have ripped it out thinking, why would you not want to be for a bill that can end this disease? So I was going to selfishly write to those 8, and I decided don't waste the time. But if you have 400 and more said yes, then we don't need to worry about the 8. And then in the Senate, it was a special bill or a vote, and it was by no one vote. Every person was required to vote for it. So every single U.S. senator voted for it. Now it's just the president's death. So now it's up to him. So hopefully it happens soon. Yep.
yeah, there's a lot going on.
Well,
But
that's the nice thing with this area. I left politics on purpose because too craziness, but this is something that politics doesn't matter. We can all, I pray and hope, can agree to end this disease. So, but I'm sure there's one out there that will argue. I mean, I put up a video, you'll be shocked, of Michael J. Fox speaking at the Unity Walk. And instead of people being amazed, they're like commenting on political stuff. I'm like, you got to be kidding. They're like, we're trying to just raise money for a cure, and you're arguing over Democrat, Republican. I just blocked the user comment. But there's got to be one thing we can all agree on, and I think it is ending this disease. So, but on the final question, it's a big one. And it could be for each of you to answer. One would be about the individual battling, and the other one from the caregiver perspective. But you could leave the Parkinson's community today with some words of encouragement. What would they be?
Well, it's a disease that brings in everybody in the family. It's just the individual, but you really have to embrace it together and not look at every downside and try to have some humor left and do things the way you can. I think earlier on with birth photography, there's a little more sense of urgency when you start losing things to get things done. You know that you don't going to go on forever, like a lot of us feel like we will.
Mhm.
There is an end there for everybody, and the clock is ticking. But try to enjoy the parts of it that you can.
yeah,
I agree. I used to, every Sunday, my mother would come when she wasn't sick and we would order food, but we had a big family and we would all fight. Like you wouldn't even imagine over where to order food from. And now Sunday comes and it's silence, and it's I miss those fights, So you have to always remember the good times and forget the nonsense. Cause like you said, I was shocked. My mother was, 69, and to this day, I don't know what happened. So.
she was 69, same age I'm going to be in August.
But we're not going to talk about it. We're going to talk about hope. And you're going to be here for till you're 80, and we're going to be still watching TikTok videos from you.
Yeah, say
So
twice this year. And times when any new doctor walked in and said, "You've had this disease 24 years?" So sharp. I'm thinking, well, not always, but and I forget, when we're conversation things, I forget those easily. But then also he said, "Your voice is so strong still." I said, "But it's gravelly, but it's still strong." But it just, they can't believe that I've had the disease this long. It feels like it. It's hard
well, did you have any final words for the Parkinson's community?
for me.
Yeah.
Final words. You know what?
Not say final. Let's say just till the next time we talk, please.
Instead of having Parkinson's take over every part of your life, make sure that what you do is make it one slice of your life, that there's good at times too. It's difficult, yes. And I'm in the really difficult time, but I still find time to laugh and enjoy life. It's not the end of the world. You will make it. Just exercise, take good care of yourself, and really enjoy yourself. Smile, laugh. Don't let it drag you down. It's one slice of your life, of your pie of life.
I really appreciate both of your time today and your friendship. And please stay on TikTok. Don't let her go. I know she's tired and things, but even once a day is beautiful. And everyone out there, please support Barbara and John. Please reach out to them if you have questions. Please share this also. Again, the only thing we all want together is a cure and for Parkinson's awareness. So I want to thank you. And also I have a message for both of you and everyone listening. We love you. We support you. We care a lot about you, and you're never alone. I, along with Barbara and John, will advocate for you, and together our voices are so much stronger. And I'm just getting started. And I always say, even though I've done it for a few years, every time I see you literally on a TikTok, even though I'm going through 3 surgeries and tumor and all this crazy stuff, even on Tuesday, I have to go to University of Miami, unfortunately, for another one. But as I'm laying on the bed, waking up, I literally go right to TikTok and look for people like you. And when I see that, I forget everything going on in my life and realize how much more important it is to get the word out there and to end this disease. So again, we send our love from my family to yours, and to everyone listening. Thank you for your time. Please share this, and we love you all. And also, please stay tuned. This has been another episode of Q&A with Sharon's son, George. We have a lot of more work to do, so this will not be the end of this. This conversation has to continue until we find a cure. So thank you both, and really it's such an honor to meet and talk, and I hope we get to do this again. And I'll be hanging up some dog pictures later thinking about Thank you again.
Thanks again. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.